What's up, Hackham? How you doing? Gonna wait a little bit and see who else joins, but I'll get going in a little bit. All good, man. I appreciate you. Can you hear me? Just want to make sure there's no issues with my audio. Wonderful. All right, we'll get started. Thanks everyone for joining. If you're watching this after it's gone live, thanks for watching it right now. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone in the States, and hope everyone else abroad is doing great. Today we're just going through my scanners and doing some charts and seeing what looks good for some trade setups. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot them in the chat. I might not see them right away, but I will get to them. And then if there's any stocks you'd like for me to go through, post them in the chat, and I'll go through those tickers at the end. But let's start with SPY. So last 4 days been pretty bullish on SPY. I really like these 3 candles that we had starting on Friday and then Monday, Tuesday. I do think we are coming into a little bit of an area of resistance, so I am expecting a little bit of a pullback. But I do think this is a nice bullish structure. It's a great start to get out of this downtrend that we saw ourselves in the past month or so. So a little bit of a pullback, won't be too worried about. But ultimately, I think this is going to go higher. I mean, the economic environment that we are heading into is going to be very conducive to stocks going up and just assets in general. But with that, let's get into my scans. I've got 25 stocks on my scan today, so we'll keep this generally short. But yeah, feel free to put any other tickers in the comments and I'll go through them at the end. All right, the first stock we had is Sunrun. So this is a chart that I had gone through previously. Basically, I'm just looking for a nice downward trend that's formed by good resistance, and then I just basically wait for it to break. And once it gets that break is typically where I look for my entries. If you zoom out, we do see that it is at an area of resistance. So let's take a look at the weekly chart. Yeah, So it's sitting at a support level right here. And then we do also have an area of resistance right above it. Now, I do think that, with this break that we had yesterday, it does look like it's going to want to go higher. If I was looking for something on this, here would be a good entry point. You could also wait for it to break these highs if you want to take a little bit more of a less risk and not enter here. I do like that it is coming right into the 200-week EMA, which is usually a nice area of support, and now it's poking back above the 50 SMA. So that's a good start. Not a bad place to enter right here by all means. I would look for a stop loss probably below this wick right there. If you wanted to have a little bit of a looser stop loss, you could set it right around the 1570 range. That would be a good area to get out if you want to give more of a leeway on your entries. The next stock is Dave and Buster's. All right, so this one is looking good. Again, we see right here, we got this nice little downtrend right here. And then last week it popped out of it and it's continuing to go higher. Got a nice break of the 50 SMA. And those are typically plays that I like to enter right off the 50 SMA. It also reclaimed the lows right here off of this move, which is great. So looking good. For this one, you could enter here. You could enter on a few locations. You could enter here. You could enter on a pullback somewhere in this range is where I would look for that pullback. Pullback 2, second entry would be in here, and I would get out below 1304 if the trade ends up not going our way. So PCG, Pacific Gas and Electric is the next one. This one, let's see the higher time frame. Nothing I really like right off the beginning with the lower time frames. It's an okay setup. I personally not one that I would go for. So we'll go on to the next one, which is EOS Energy. This is a stock that I think has good potential in the long run. We are getting some support off of this EMA right here, the 21-day SMA. Here on this stock, I do think it's good in the long run. I'm very bullish on energy and batteries in general. We do need a lot of energy with all the AI data centers that are being built in the US. And as we build out our energy grid, we're going to need places to store all of this extra energy if we have any. And I think batteries are going to be a good beneficiary to that. For this one, there isn't really a good place to enter up here. This one would require patience to get in. But you're either going to want it to come back down to the 736 range or just wait for it to come back up and get the highs. So, yeah, that's what I would look for on this. So, yeah, I long term, I think it's a decent bet. Short term, don't really see a setup that I would take. Next one is ARHS. All right. So again, we see a nice little downtrend right here and the breakout of that downtrend. And now it's popping above. We got it coming above the 100-day. This is the this is the 100. This is the 1 week 200 EMA that's popping up above. That's a good level to reclaim. I do like that it's breaking out. For this one, you could enter here, and then I would look for a second entry probably around this area. This area support, yeah, that's a good spot. 10-15 would be a good place to buy more, and then you're going to look for an exit below the lows at 868. So that's where your stop loss level would be. And then next stock is going to be Spry, which is ARS Pharmaceuticals. So let's take a look at this. We do have a little bit of a downtrend. It is poking back above. Does look like it'll probably pull back. Just based off of this candle, I would imagine you get an opportunity for an entry around 821 if you wanted to take it, but then you're going to be looking for stop losses below 666. Pharmaceutical has been hot lately. They're personally not my cup of tea. They do have some upside if they do get their approvals, but typically not my risk appetite. So EXK is the next one on the list. This is another industry that I'm bullish on. I think, with the rate cuts that are coming and quantitative tightening coming to an end, we're going to see an appreciation of assets across the board. I think gold and silver are going to be no different. Here we've got a nice breakout of the downtrend. Let's go back a little bit and see what else they have. This was previous area of highs. Okay, so this is what we're looking for up here for areas of resistance above. We got one there, and then looks like we got another one right about here. All right, so yeah, I mean, miners are going to be very strong beneficiaries to rates coming down and quantitative tightening ending. We do have a gap here that needs to get filled, and it's currently working on that. You could see some chop in this area, especially once it gets to the top of this gap that it needs to fill. But I ultimately think that silver and gold, they're gonna be going higher as we get into the new year, especially as we see Trump's new Fed chair come in and start aggressively cutting rates. So I think anything gold and silver is going to be great. For this one, you can get in wherever you want, in my opinion. Look for another entry around 756, and then you're going to look to get out below 670 if we do get that stop loss. Profits above 1053 is going to be a good place to take your first profit. 1270 will be your next place. Then above 1270, you're going to be in blue sky territory, and then you're just going to want to sell into any weakness that the stock has. Once it's above 1270, just hold and see how high it goes, and sell once it starts breaking support levels on the way back down. That's typically how I get out of these plays when they're in blue sky territory. Just be patient with it. Mark your support levels, diagonal and horizontal, as it's coming into diagonal support or horizontal support. You're going to want to look to get out or take some more profit. Next one is going to be AQST. All right, so I did tweet about this one yesterday. I did take a position in some options with the February 20th expiration and a $10 call price. I was doing some research on this one. It's very interesting stock. They have created the very first sublingual epinephrine drug. So it'll be an alternative to the EpiPen. And it does get into the system faster than the EpiPen does. And you do start seeing better response times to the drug. And then based on the research I've seen, it does look like they're going to get their approval on January 31st, which is the date that the Food and Drug Administration said that they would issue their final decision. A couple of things, one of the reasons why I do think that they're going to be getting approval, and that there's a good chance is that throughout their new drug application, the FDA confirmed that they're not going to require Aquestive to have an advisory committee. And typically that automatically increases your odds of getting your approval. There is a motion against this drug, but it's from a competitor. So that could be the only thing that delays the approval. But from what I have seen in my research, it looks like it's probably not going to be taken seriously, since it is coming from a competitor who's just trying to delay their approval. But yeah, I like the breakout on this one. I'll hold it until they get their approval. This is going to be boom or bust for me. Pretty light portion of my portfolio, so I'm okay if it doesn't pan out the way I want it to. But I think the upside is there. Obviously, this is a little bit more risky with biotech, but it looks like there's enough positive for me to want to take the risk. For the next stock, we have OSS, One Stop Systems. That is a nice candle right there. Very strong candle. All right. So again, we'll just go through, mark our diagonal resistance. Got some nice taps on it previously, and then a very strong breakthrough. Let's see if there's any news. NASDAQ just halted it. Let me go to another website and see if there's more news that's not being shown on TradingView. No, nothing there. Let me check one more place. Let's see what we got. Yeah, no, not really seeing any news on OSS that caused this spike. 30% in a day. So I would expect some sell-off, just some profit taking. Good places for entry. Around the 563 be a good place. You could get your second entry right at 480. And then you're going to be looking for a stop below 430. Yeah, I would look for an exit or if we got a daily close below 430. I don't really like to sell things during the trading session, especially if we get a fake out below. I typically like to wait until closer to the end of the day. If we're getting to like 355 and it's obvious that it's not going to close above my support area, then I'll just close it out then. But typically I like to just hold until at least the end of the day. But so yeah, so there's gonna be your entries and your stop loss. Some areas of resistance. You're gonna have one at 720, and then I believe on this one, yeah, you'll just be in blue sky once you break through this area. Once you get through 950, you're in blue sky, and then you're just gonna wait to sell into resistance. So I'd take some profit at 720 and 950, and then just sell into any weaknesses you get above those levels. And then conversely, on the way down, if you break 720, and you're starting to see weakness, say you get some sort of chop that looks like this. All right, when we start climbing higher, we get up here and it breaks, you're going to want to sell. You won't want to wait until 720 to sell, but you would wait for this break and the close below it, and you would get out. That's where you would get out. And that's true, once you get above 950 as well. Let me just delete these real quick. All right. So the next one is MNKD. Interesting chart. Personally for me, not a setup here that I like. So I'm going to go to the next one, which is going to be ABO, which is Abeona Therapeutics. Again, typically not my cup of tea. I'd have to do more research to actually seriously consider getting in this. But the chart setup's there. You're going to be looking for, that's where your high is. This would be another good area to take profit. You do have a gap to fill up here, which could be a good spot for, just closing out in general. If you got the $12, I would call that a day and be happy with it and get out. But again, this isn't a trade I would want to take unless I was able to come to more of a conclusion, kind of like how I was able to see, what was going on behind the scenes with Aquestive and figure that they had an actually really good shot of getting their approval. So yeah, not really for me. You could take it stop loss below 415. But yeah, that would be that one. I wouldn't really look for a second entry, just one entry, go smaller, and then out below 415 and then take profits at the areas above. Next one, ASM, another miner. This is one that I shared in my Discord. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my @ is the same as on YouTube. It's going to be @ Sandman Markets. There's a link to my Discord in the link tree in my bio. And you can join through there. And I do share a lot of these plays just in there that I don't always share on my Twitter. So this one, it's gold and silver. So I'm bullish. Had a nice little breakout the other day. Now it's poking above the 50 SMA. Really would like for it to get above this level next. And then it'll would likely keep going. Good odds that it goes to the highs right up here. That would be a good spot to take your first profit. And then let's see, would it be in blue sky territory over that? No, it would not be. Okay. Yeah, and you've got a few more areas to keep an eye out for. Right above here, this would be another area of resistance, and then your blue sky is going to be way up here. But yeah, those are the levels I'd look at. I'm bullish on bullion. I'd look to get out if we fell below this diagonal support line. But yeah, I'm bullish ASM. I didn't take this one, but I did take a few other gold miners, but this is a good setup in my opinion. All right, next one, ASTL, Algoma Steel Group. All right. So we do see we got a downtrend here. Looks like I previously charted this one. It is looking like it's coming into this, so it's breaking out of this lower one. You could get an entry here. I would probably prefer to just wait for it to get above this second resistance line, the larger downtrend, just because of where it's at. There's not a crazy amount of upside unless it does get through this other diagonal resistance. So I would be a little bit more patient on this one. And any stop loss I would take would be below 321. All right. Next one is ODV. So this is another one I shared getting a breakout. Can't remember if I shared this one on my Twitter or not, but I did share this one in my Discord as well. I do like this one a lot. Another gold stock that is breaking out. Your support, your resistance areas are going to be here. So maybe wait for a pullback or wait for it to get a close above 343 before you enter. And then you've got your next area of resistance at 389. And it seems like a good area for resistance. And you've got some more. It's another good area for profits. Another area for profits would be, this one's got a little bit of a wider range, so I would just keep an eye on it and watch for behavior as it comes into this box up here. And then, you got a whole bunch more up above. So there's quite a little bit for this one to fight through, but chart setup, I like it. I'd look for my stop loss would be below this diagonal line. And then the next one, we've got Saba. This one also looks like a good setup. Same story. I mean, not a big fan of biotech. Too volatile, too many unknowns. Just, you never know what's going to happen. You can have speculation and think that they're going to get their approval, and then you could get a surprise out of nowhere. And it's all about understanding what risks you're comfortable taking. But 50 coming above the 50 SMA, this is not a bad area to get in. Maybe wait on a little bit of a pullback to I don't know, somewhere around here. You're looking at a few cents of difference, and then your stop loss is going to be 273 is where I would get out. If it falls below, there is a good gap. That is a real good gap. So your next area of resistance is right there. So that's, so after it gapped down, it did pop back up a little bit that day. And it's also where we got rejected right off the $5 mark as it made this run starting at the end of September through the midpoint of October. So that would be a good place to get your profits. You could take some solid profits right there. You're going to be up. If it hits the $5 mark, you would be up 50%. So take a lot off, and then you can hope you get this gap fill. I mean, that gap fill would be really nice profits. I very definitely a long way from guaranteed that it would even get there. But if you want to take most of your profits at $5 and then keep a couple shares to see if it'll go the distance, you can do that. But personally, biotech, not for me. I'd have to do a little bit more research to be comfortable with investment into SAVA. Each cat. Yeah, not much of a setup here that I like. Pretty long downtrend. I'd have to do a lot more research to see if I wanted to invest in something like this, but I'm going to go to the next one. AMBR, Amber International Holdings. Yeah, not much here that I like, so we will go to the next one, Cardiff Oncology. Yeah, not a setup that I particularly like on this one. But if I were to take one, I'd look for my stop loss at 196. This break would be good. Getting above here would be better, and then a gap fill. I probably would get out at the gap fill and call it a day. But those would be the levels I'm looking at. You could maybe hopefully get a entry on a pullback to the 50 SMA. Right around 218. But yeah, that's going to be Cardiff. And then we've got CGTX Cognition Therapeutics. That's a pretty nice setup on this one as well. As I said previously, I mean, therapeutics and biotech has been pretty hot lately. So this one, could have the potential, but I don't know enough about it to be comfortable. You are breaking out of the downtrend, getting above the 50 SMA. As far as an entry goes for a short-term trade, that'd be a good spot to get in. And then you're going to look for an exit below 130. Profits, you could take profit at 205, and then I would take more profit at 328. Would be the areas I'd look to take some profits at. And above that, you've got a few areas up here. 480 looks like a good spot. So does this right here, 730. And then you've got this entire range right up here. So, yeah, good setup. I mean, I wouldn't take this personally. I'd have to do more research. But those are the levels you'd look for if you were taking this trade. XTIA is the next one. Oh, boy. This one used to be, how much did this one used to trade for? IPO'd at, oh, where did it IPO? IPO'd at 1287.50. Wow, looks like they've had a few stock splits along the way. Let's see here. Yeah, not a setup I particularly like, so I will go to the next one, CTXR, Citius Pharmaceuticals. It's not really a setup that I like on that one either. So, so that's all of the stocks on my list. If there are any questions, or are there any other tickers that you'd like for me to go through, drop them in the comments and I will go through them real quick. Well, everyone that joined me live, I appreciate you. Hakim, I know you weren't able to stay the entire time, but I appreciate you, man. I've always appreciated your support. And to anyone that's watching this after I have posted it, thank you for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the comments. If you like what I've put out, give me a subscribe or go follow me on Twitter. My handle is at Sandman Markets on Twitter as well. Thank you for your time. Hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Thanks, guys.